So did you have any interaction with Jean-Luc Brunel, who was supposedly the model scout that recruited a lot of these women?
I didn't meet him there, but when they held the modeling casting and Bill Clinton witnessed the whole modeling casting, he walked through while they were doing it. They pretended they were from Karen Modeling Agency. It was Sarah Killen and Andrea Mitrovic and another girl. They pretended they were agents from Karen Modeling Agency, which apparently used to belong to Brunel. So I didn't meet him, but it was sort of, I suppose, connected in that way.
Well, we're going to play a clip later on. We don't need to play it right now, but basically Kevin Spacey said that he trusted Jeffrey Epstein because he saw Bill Clinton. So what was your interaction with Bill Clinton? You supposedly were in a hotel with him or something? What was your story in connection with Bill?
Well, what happened is I was at a bar restaurant with a friend of mine, and then I was approached by a woman called Naja Hill, who apparently worked for Fox News years later. She approached me and she said that her friend was here. He was the King of America, and he was here with his friend Bill Clinton, and he owned his own island in the Caribbean. And his friend owned Victoria's Secret, and would I like to meet him? Because it would be good, obviously, for my modeling career. I was a young girl, and I just so it sounded like the most amazing opportunity. So I went to the restaurant where they were, and it was Epstein, Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and about 3 or 4 other people. It was a small group, and they all stood up while they were having dinner and shook my hand. And it was, and Bill Clinton actually held onto my hand for a very long time. It was very weird.
Did you? So you had no sexual relationship other than that, though. But you had to share a hotel room with him. So what happened? What happened with Bill?
No, I didn't stay there. What happened is I met them that night, and then I went home. And then the next day they phoned, and the girl Naja Hill said that Epstein really liked me and thought I'd be great for Victoria's Secret, and could I bring my modeling portfolio along to the Cape Grace Hotel where they were staying. So, I went to, and then they also invited me to actually go watch Clinton's speech, which was being held at the Western Cape Peninsula Technikon, a lower income university in the Western Cape. So, as a young person, I was like, I obviously wanted to go watch the speech, and I did. And what I did notice was Kevin Spacey was filming all the students in the hall. I don't know why.
On what, like a cell phone or a regular camera he was filming on?
It was like a handheld device because, it was 2002. So it was before everyone had cell phones. Yeah, it was like back in the day, Nokia couldn't make movies. So it was some sort of handheld device. He was filming everyone there. And the speech wasn't about much. And then after the speech, we went back to the hotel, and then they looked at my modeling portfolio, and the girls were sitting there, and Bill Clinton walked past and witnessed the whole modeling casting. And then Epstein looked at my modeling portfolio and said he thought I'd be perfect for Victoria's Secret, and he wanted to bring me over.
Did they make you get in lingerie? Did they make you get naked, or what was the casting? What did it consist of? Just looking at your book, just your pictures?
He just looked through my modeling book. Models have got photos of their, of themselves in lingerie or in bikinis. So he looked through my modeling book, and then, after that, his office started phoning, and Leslie Groff arranged to get me a visa and to get me to New York, and I was there within 3 weeks.
So now tell us a little bit about Epstein Island. How much time did you spend on Little St. James, Juliette?
Little St. Jeff's, you mean?
Is that what they call? Oh, Little St. Jeff's. Oh, there you go, Jeffrey Epstein. Wow. So you've been there, so you know the inside scoop. So what was it like on Little St. Jeff's?
I was taking all the properties, actually, over the time. I also met Michael Bay, the movie producer in New Mexico. He denies it, but he was there.
What you saw at the ranch in New Mexico, you also saw Michael Bay, one of Hollywood's biggest director?
There was another victim with me. I was also taken to Bill Richardson's mansion with another girl, and they looked us up and down. I don't know why. But, that's why after everything's been coming out, I've had to look into it. And
what about Prince Andrew? Did you ever interact with the Queen's son, Prince Andrew? R.I.P. the Queen.
No, I never met him, but they used to speak about him. Him and Epstein and Maxwell used to speak about their friend Andy. But
what would they say? Would they tell embarrassing stories about him? Because I know they had the George Bush pictures. I know that he had some Bill Clinton pictures. Do you think Jeffrey Epstein actually liked these people, or did he look at them like they were just, I guess, honeypot victims so he could have more power? Did he actually like Prince Andrew, in your opinion?
I think what I'm starting to realize is, and speaking about Bush before I go into the other thing, is that, he used to say he was on the phone to Bush and Clinton. He used to often say he was on the phone to them. But you know what I've started to realize is it was more like a syndicate, a club, because the properties, they were all very different in style. It was almost like they didn't all belong to one person. You know, when you look at it, I've got photographs of them all. There's a lot more going on there, and they're obviously covering it up.
Did you ever see Bill Clinton, or do you think Bill Clinton slept with any of these human trafficked women, sex trafficked women? Did he sleep with any victims that you know of?
I didn't see him doing that, but I'm sure he'd be more clever about it and not let people see it. I mean, look at the Clinton body count. The man's capable of some ghastly stuff. So,
he is.
Luckily I didn't see that, but I'm sure it was happening.
I was wondering, I wasn't sure if I heard you correctly earlier, but this was very interesting. When you were meeting Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein, you said that somebody introduced him as the King of America. Were they talking about Bill Clinton, or were they talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
They were talking about Jeffrey Epstein. It was Naja Hill, who later worked for Fox News, the girl who recruited me, and she told me that, Jeffrey Epstein was here and he was the King of America, like the King of America.
Because of his connection to Prince Andrew, is that why they described him like that, do you think?
I guess it's because of his connection to everyone.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, he did hang out at the Windsor Castle, I believe. Okay, so
another thing is,
go ahead.
The New York property was decorated in a very British style, which I found was suspicious.
Well, Prince Andrew would stay at his mansion instead of staying at a Ritz-Carlton, which doesn't make sense. Why would you not stay at a 5-star hotel unless you wanted to do something, I guess, mischievous at that house? I think that's the only excuse. Okay, now I want to, before you go, I wanted to react, and if we can get all of our reactions to this latest Kevin Spacey clip with Piers Morgan, where he basically describes that he was on the plane and he did see young girls. So if we have that clip, let's play it.
In 2015, I started seeing reports online, things on my Twitter account that I had flown to this guy, Jeffrey Epstein's island, and I had abused young girls. And I was like, if you'd asked me in 2015, maybe even if you'd asked me in 2002, did I know a guy named Jeffrey Epstein? I probably would have said no. Well, of course, I have since learned who he is. And I have since been able to go back and find out that the airplane that we flew on for this humanitarian mission was owned by Jeffrey Epstein. And to then learn, he was actually on some of those flights. And this Maxwell woman was on some of those flights. I didn't know him. I've never spent any time with him. I was with the Clinton Foundation people. That's who I was with. Do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, who is this guy? So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights?
There were young girls on those flights, yeah.
Well, it sounds like he contradicted himself multiple times by saying that he didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was, and then he said that he thought Jeffrey Epstein was a bad guy. And I could tell it seemed like you were uncomfortable a little bit watching that clip, Juliette. So was Kevin Spacey just lying there? What was true about any of those statements he made?
Well, I don't understand how someone can fly on someone's airplane and sit at dinner with them and not know who they are. That's an ultimate lie. It's ridiculous. If you take an Uber, you know the person's name. It's like, how can he not know who the person is? So it's very strange that he's gone out and done this interview, because it makes you wonder why. It's like, is he about to be exposed further? Also, what about his accusers who were found dead?
My grind so refined, I got no time for no games. Ask yourself.